Good evening, everyone. December 12th, 2016. This is the last Board of Education meeting for the Dearborn School Board for this year. It's my last meeting as president, and I want to thank everyone who has helped me so much in the last year. We're tardy tonight because just prior to this, we had a reception for two of our departing board members, Trustee Roxanne McDonald and Trustee Joe Guido. More about that later, but I want to apologize for being tardy. So I think that being said, we're ready to go ahead.
Okay,
Secretary.
Trustee Bazzi?
Here.
Trustee Guido, absent. Trustee Thorpe?
Here.
Trustee McDonald?
Here.
Trustee Mead here. Trustee Mary Polichkoff?
Here. You don't get it 1 year.
President Lane.
Here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag. Ms. Tammy Fernier, principal of Howe School, will introduce students who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Along with the Howe students will be Brenna Thorpe, student of Bryant Middle School, and Nick Thorpe, student at Lindbergh Elementary.
Thank you for having us here today. From Howe School, we have Rowan Gator, Amelia Hayward, and Mahadi Chihab. And they're all three of them are student leaders for us at our Howe School.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Students, would you come up? We'd like to give you a certificate of thanks, which I haven't even signed yet. So, Rowan. Oh, you know what? The superintendent hasn't signed them either, so maybe we will have to send these over to your school. But I would like to thank you. You guys are really great because especially you came here when we had a snow day. That's so amazing. And we have two students, the Howe students, thank you very much. And then we have two other students who are at Bryant and Lindbergh, right? And I should introduce them as our new trustees, daughter and son. Thank you for coming tonight. Very good. We'll send over your certificates. Thanks again for coming. Dr.
1A, new board member, oath of office. Board member James Thorpe will take the oath of office at this time, administered by the State Superintendent Brian Whiston. State Superintendent Whiston and James Thorpe will stand, and with right hands raised, State Superintendent Whiston will ask him to repeat after him the following oath of office.
All right, so James, repeat after me. I do hereby swear and affirm.
I do hereby swear and affirm.
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America.
And the Constitution of the State of Michigan.
And the Constitution of the State of Michigan.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
The duties of office of trustee.
The duties of office of trustee.
Of the school district of the city of Dearborn.
Of the school district of the city of Dearborn.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
And in the manner prescribed by law.
In the manner provided by law.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, new trustee Thorpe. And do you have anyone in the audience you want to introduce?
Well, my children already were up here to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
There he is.
And we have my wife, Carrie, who is here today, my mother, Pam, and our exchange student from South Korea, Rosie, is also here today.
Thank you to the family. We board members know how much you'll be giving up as Trustee Thorpe takes on a lot of duties, a lot of reading, a lot of meetings, but it's a real service to the children of Dearborn and to the taxpayers of Dearborn. So I'm sure that everyone is grateful, and we're very proud to have you. Thank you.
Item 2, Superintendent's update. Item A, agenda items.
So since it was on the agenda, I also want to congratulate Jim Thorpe, who is here as a trustee. And I did mention this at the last board meeting, but just kind of explaining what happened is that Jim won the 2-year term that was vacated when President Scholes left in July of 2015. And so then he took over the 2-year term that Trustee Fadwa Hamoud had held for 2 years. So Fadwa is actually off the board for 1 month, technically, and then both her and Hussein Berry will join the board in January, and we'll have a swearing-in ceremony for both of them at the January meeting. And I know they're both here for the reception. I know Trustee Berry's here, so I want to congratulate them and thank them for being here. As you know, we're here for the swearing in of Trustee Thorpe. Just a few people I wanted to recognize who are here today. Obviously, we had our superintendent, State Superintendent Brian Whiston, who came. Thank him for being here. And actually, he was a mentor for me as I was on a journey to become a superintendent, so I want to thank him. We had several other former trustees that were here as well. We had Trustee Schoolmaster, Trustee Stockwell, who was here, former Trustee Stockwell, former President and Trustee Scholes was here. I mentioned Hussein Berry. We also had former administrative assistant who used to run a lot of the meetings, Don Meitel, came. We had former college president Dr. Andy Mazzara, and we had Dr. Jensen, who's here at all meetings. And then we had several administrators, people from the community, so it was really positive, both for Jim's swearing in and also just to recognize Trustee Guido and Trustee McDonald. We're going to get to that a little later, but I just wanted to recognize them for coming, especially on the snow day, and that brings me in. This is an agenda item as well. So today, the only thing operating in the district is the Board of Education meeting. Shows the work ethic of the board members. I think a lot of times people think, well, the board members have a full, an office and a full-time job here. Well, really they don't. They have this is a part-time thing, which really the hours are much more than part-time. And so just to clarify that, they don't have an office here, but they put in a lot of their own time. And when everybody else is enjoying a snow day, they're here working. So we appreciate their time and dedication. And so I just wanted to explain a couple of things with the snow day. I can tell you, too, there's going to be a couple cancellations because of the snow day, and we're going to reschedule students for the Empty Bowls presentation and the Fortson Choir that we normally have. Because of the snow day, they won't be able to be here. We always look forward to that just before the holidays, but they will be back in January. So we'll, during Board Appreciation Month, we'll have some music and some arts that we'll celebrate. I also wanted to just mention, too, that I want to thank Mr. Don Ball, the entire operations staff. Yesterday I could tell you as the decision was coming through, I was constantly on the phone with him. I want to thank Mr. Mustin on the communication that went out, President Lane, who I consulted with. I was actually out of town driving through the weather, and so it was great to have a good team here that we moved on it. And if you came in today, you would see the streets, the parking lot cleared. They were working all night to make sure that the schools are ready for tomorrow. The decision that was made yesterday, there's a lot that goes into canceling school. First of all, student safety is number one, and then secondly, we want to keep the schools open. And so that decision, there's a lot of moving parts. And I was actually interviewed later in the night after I shoveled my own driveway from Channel 4 last night. They actually called me and interviewed me on what goes into cancellations of school. So one of the things I'd like to do right now, we do have a full episode of happenings in Dearborn schools on snow days, but I'm going to have Mr. Shigfree and Mr. Mussinen are going to play a brief clip, and then maybe you'll want to go to my YouTube channel and you can check out. It's actually the 20th episode on the show, and so right now I'm going to let them go ahead and play that on snow days.
Dr. Malenko,
good.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, as always. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
David, one thing I wanted to mention, I think I solved all the problems. Did you hear when I interviewed for the board a year and a half ago, and I said I totally eliminated snow days?
I recall that.
Yeah.
I recall. That was a very simple
So we're
solution.
done.
That's it. Show's over. We're done. We're not going to have any more snow days.
Of course, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, of course. But, that was when I did get interviewed before the Board of Education. It was one of the questions where I can have a little fun with. It wasn't specific to snow days, but what happened was the board asked me, what is your greatest fear or challenge of becoming potentially a superintendent? Snow day. Calling the snow day. It is a pressure-packed situation, and there are a lot of people watching. And like you said, people have different views on the issue. And so I'm glad we have some of our experts here. Mr. Jeff Burek, who's been Director of Operations for many years. He's currently an Operations Consultant Director. And Mr. Don Ball, Director of Maintenance and Security. So happy to have them here to join us and explain the process. My first snow day call, which now, once you do get that first, I've said it before, but you feel like an official superintendent once you make the call. You've got to get that under your belt, that rate of passage. And so really there's a lot of communication. And so, you know, I've got students on Twitter saying to me, oh, just call the day off. Don't you want a day off? Oh, it's safe conditions, you know, those things. Right. But actually, it's a lot more work for us. It really is, because we're constantly in communication. I'm communicating with Mr. Burek, with Jeff. I'm on a network with county superintendents. We're monitoring the weather. Jeff's monitoring the weather, the road conditions. I'm also communicating with you, because as soon as we make that decision, we have to know, well, what is the alert that's going to go out? What schools are closed? How is the message going to go out with our robocall systems, other things? Sure. The nice thing, though, is that with the other superintendents is that we have an email or a conference call network. So I get up-to-date information right away as soon as districts are making that decision. Right. But in all honesty, you know, I was talking to Jeff that night, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, 9 p.m., 9:30, and there was literally no snow on the ground in Dearborn. Sure. Now, there was a lot of schools going down because the forecast was calling for it. We'll wait. If we need to, though, we'll wait till 6, because our objective is to keep the school open unless there's a safety issue.
Right, and sometimes they are predicting 8 to 10 inches in the morning, and like Dr. Maleko says, if it hits above 8 Mile or something, and we only get 2 or 3 inches, well, you know, it's difficult to make that call.
There are a lot of factors that are going into
it's not an auction, and it's not a Survivor. You know, it's not like we want to be the last one on the island. You know, we are looking at the best interests of students, which is in our vision. Sure. And so that's the main priority. Again, academics, education, we want students in school. But when it comes down to it, if there's a safety issue, we won't hesitate.
So right there, there's just a little, it's just a little clip. So if you want to watch the full episode, it just really talks about what goes into, you know, snow days. There's a lot of moving factors. And so you could join us on the YouTube channel for Dearborn Schools, my blog as well for automated updates. And so I appreciate, you know, Mr. Shigfree and Mr. Mustin and Mr. Ball. And there are a lot of things that go into that. I can also tell you, too, that I was having a lot of fun with the students prior to the call on Twitter. And it really increases your following on Twitter when you start dialoguing with students on whether there should or should not be a snow day. So that's just a way to kind of connect with the students. And so I do think, and most of it was all in good taste and positive. So they did get their snow day, and hopefully they took advantage of it by studying and getting ahead rather than... So the next thing I have, it is an agenda item. I want to, again, recognize retirees that we do every month. And so we have for this month, I want to recognize Ms. Karen Hanses, who has over 18 years of service. Mr. Gerald Inch with over 21 years of service. We have Kevin Leiskas with over 31 years of service. And Linda Williams with over 29 years of service. So congratulations, and I want to thank all of them for their service to the district. And that's it for agenda items.
How about non-agenda items?
So I am a little long-winded today, but there's a lot going on. We had a few cancellations, so hopefully it'll taper the agenda a little. I wanted to mention this time of year, you know, I've worked really hard to develop some positive relationships with our local legislators. You know, especially Senator Hood, Senator Kniezek. Temporarily, it's been Ms. Lauren Plewicki, George Duraney, of course, who's our representative, and Mr. Santana. But one of the things that happens this time is in a lame duck is there's a lot of legislation that changes. And the thing that goes on in Lansing in the lame duck is they don't necessarily go through their normal process. So one of the things just wanted to mention a few things that are going on, and it constantly changes. And I really appreciate the local, George Duraney, Morris Hood. They are keeping me informed, and actually was on the phone with them several times last week about pending legislation that impacts our school district potentially. And, you know, one of the things I've said to them advocating is just, you know, following the normal process. Why do we have to speed things through and lame duck and not go through committee in the normal process versus if it's something important, okay, well, let's let the process play itself out. But as we know, a lot of times it doesn't happen. So there's a couple things that are, and some of these things that I'm saying right now may have already changed because it's so quick the way things change. But we have some legislation on retirement is one, and it really, you know, about employee retirement that it's going to cost the state a lot more money. And so it doesn't make any sense not only for the employees but also for the state. And they're talking about, you know, an extra $550 million in the first year and then $6 billion over the course. The governor hasn't supported this, but there's talk of that up in Lansing. There's a bill called Energy Choice, which if it passes, you know, Dearborn Schools has saved over $4.6 million. And so that's concerning to us. Over almost $15 million in Wayne County alone. And so this would really create kind of a monopoly for a lot of the power companies, and really the little guy industries would not be able to survive if it passes. We had another bill that was pending up there called the school aid raid, which they were looking at taking, I believe.
Is that what it was really called?
Yeah. And that would have cost us potentially over $5 million to our operational budget. We just talked last month about, you know, we were happy and thankful for the taxpayers of passing the millage, and that would have taken that away, basically, to our district. And so those are some things that are going on. We also have one that, you know, is talking about taking away the ability for union presidents of the DFT or our unions. We have a great relationship with our unions. In fact, our unions coordinated last week a phone drive to try to talk to these legislators. But one of the bills would really hurt our union presidents that they couldn't be part of the retirement system, which doesn't really hurt us. And we have a great partnership with them. We actually work through things. So from our perspective, it doesn't necessarily make sense. And so we want to support them. And we appreciate the fact that they've been, you know, advocating, because they were on the phone advocating when they heard about the fact that this school aid raid might occur with a technical issue that over $400 million may be taken from the school aid fund. So anyway, I just wanted to mention these things and just let people know that, you know, this is going quick. So if you do want to maintain the positive, and I know board trustees have called it, these legislations are going on and they're changing constantly. And I've even talked to the MFT president about some of these things. And so we're trying to work together, because why am I saying this? I want to protect the interests of Dearborn students, making sure that they get the funding that they deserve so we have a quality education. So that's why I do, it's in my goals to the board, but I will continue to be advocating for our school district with the local legislators. And so, you know, I just wanted to mention that right now, and that is going on. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, the next item is citizen participation. We have no cards.
Okay.
So we will move on to approval of minutes, item 4. Approval of minutes for the following Dearborn Board of Education meeting. Executive session P12, closed/exempt material. November 14th, 2016, board report 16 through 46, and regular P through 12 meeting, November 14th, 2016, board report 16 through 47. Recommended action. Make any necessary corrections and move approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Does anyone have any changes? I did notice one change, and that was to the executive session. I was not present. I was in Ann Arbor that evening for another event.
was.
Yeah. So with that being corrected, did anybody see anything else, or is any opposition, or can we accept this unanimously? We will attach unanimous votes. Thank you.
Item 5, recognition and acknowledgements. Item A, recognizing trustee Guido and McDonald.
All right, so we did have the reception for Trustee Guido and Trustee McDonald just before here, and I just wanted to, we want to recognize them. We had some people that came up, and we're going to shortly have an open mic period after I hand it over to President Lane. But I'm going to start with Trustee Guido, who actually can't be here. He had to leave due to an important meeting he had to attend. But he will be able to watch this on TV in a taped version. So just wanted to mention that, he has over 23 years of service on the board. He's been great as far as stability and leadership. I've been in the district 21 years, so as long as I've been in the districts, he was already on the Board of Education. He knows the history, really provides some great sound advice. I know he got into it for the students, as did Trustee McDonald, wanted to make a difference. I joked with him at the reception about the blogs, which we joked here. Initially, I don't think he was too fond of the blogs, but then after he saw the presentation and would say, once he got signed up, he'd say, well, I was checking the blogs all the time. And so just before today, we actually got him in a selfie with Trustee McDonald, which will go on my blog. And I told him he does have to give me his personal email account, because we're going to register him for that blog as well, since he has enjoyed it. He also got used to, I think, the Google share a little bit, as we've gone paperless. At least right now, it's only a few of us that have paper, but the agendas for the trustees are electronic. He started to get used to the Google. I think by the last meeting, he was on the game. He mentioned during the reception. And then he's just a real great person, really caring. And I know just the things that he's done in the district with a lot of the bonds and things that he's done on the finance committee, on the operations committee, all the things he's done over the years. And so I just wanted to mention, we really appreciate his dedication to the school district, almost 24 years. So thank you to Trustee Guido. And I also then want to recognize Trustee Roxanne McDonald, who's here serving as a trustee. She's leaving us, and I first got to know her when I was principal at Duval, and it was when she was involved in the PTA, and she was involved in a lot of positive things to support students. I mentioned this at the reception, but we went together to Lansing to support bullying prevention, in which Dearborn was a state leader. And I think on that ride, we kind of got to know each other, and then she got me into some different things for supporting the PTA. And at Duval, I really came to understand the power of the PTA, and she was heavily involved. She was also the board president when I got appointed in 2015, and I really appreciated her great support. Lots of phone calls. Again, it's a part-time, it's not really a job, but on the weekend, on all times of the day, as a superintendent and board president, there's a lot of calls that go on and communication. Also, she's been very visible in the schools and with our students. So want to thank her for her years of service to the district. She came on the board in 2012, and I know she'll still be around. So thank you, Trustee McDonald. Really appreciate it.
Okay, I know we have a couple people that do want to address the empty chair of Trustee Guido and Trustee McDonald. So if anybody wants to make any comments, I know Jerry and Amy are here, would like to. So please do.
You've heard of the ghost of Christmas past? This is like the ghost of board trustees past. I had to come tonight. I don't think that anyone who hasn't sat in one of those chairs can really understand the commitment and dedication and emotion that it takes to sit in that chair. And whether you've served 24 years, like Trustee Guido, I still can't believe you served 24 years. That is a long time to do anything. That is a lot of dedication, and I don't know that everyday people in the community really appreciate how much effort and energy and loss you go through in order to serve on this position. And Trustee McDonald, you've done a great job on the board, and you were just getting into your prime. So I know that you'll do well, and I'm sure that you'll be back in many, many positions and still continue, because you're so dedicated to the students in this district, and it will be missed. And this is still my district. I know I moved 45 minutes away, but I still consider myself from Dearborn. And I don't think that you even appreciate really what Dearborn has until you've walked away from it. It's an interesting world out there, let me tell you. But the trustees that sit here, and especially Trustee Guido and Trustee McDonald, you put your heart and soul into this, and it's something that you do for so long that you forget what it's like to not do it. And I think that that's probably one of the hardest things that you have to deal with for about 10 minutes. And then you'll find things to occupy your time, trust me. But, I would be remiss if I didn't come and say thank you. I know that Trustee Guido's not here to hear it, but thank you. because I do appreciate what you've done. And I do appreciate the sacrifices that you've made for kids that aren't yours. And typically, it's your own kids that suffer so that you can help somebody else's kids. And people don't realize that, but I do. And so I acknowledge that, and I thank you.
Thank you.
And I do have to say that I remember when you first got appointed that you had told me that the biggest thing you were worried about was what happens when you have to call a snow day. So that story was cute, quite apropos.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I just want to say that I'm proud of the citizens of Dearborn for keeping the school board fairly constant, but with new people, new ideas. And I served a number of years, but I've been gone for a number of years, but I certainly keep track of it. And I'm still very proud of what Dearborn schools represent. And the fact that we can have a state superintendent come from Dearborn schools says something about you people and how we have worked together to get things that we needed done, and especially with Joe as an architect. And when I was on, we built a lot of new schools. We tore some schools down, replaced them, and it was a lot of money, but Joe was the expertise for that and was able to give us the proper advice for what we were doing. And I'm very proud of all of you for serving the citizens and especially the students of Dearborn. Thank you.
I think we have Dr. Jensen as he's walking up. I know President Shullers was saying she remembers that. Well, thank you. You were the board president when I got hired, so I do remember that as well. So that is on the video. So if you watch the full episode, you'll hear a reference to that.
Well, thank you. I want to just thank Roxanne so much for your service and Joe for his service to this board. And probably most people in Dearborn know, but it is unusual in the whole scope of the United States. In fact, to my knowledge, we're the only one left. When I came here, there were 3 colleges that had a P14 board. So this board governs not only P12, but also Henry Ford College. So, and the other 2 that I knew of changed that this year, in fact. So we might be the only ones left. So that tells you that there is double duty, actually, for each of these board members. And so I am thankful for the dedication that you have had to the college. We appreciate that a great deal. It's not easy, and one more whole set of challenges and opportunities. And but also you have prompted me. You have been, both of you, a confidant to me, a friend, and both of you terrific leaders. And I appreciate that a great deal. And you're certainly will continue to be involved in this community. And so this community appreciates that. And we appreciate very, very much the collegiality between P12 and Dr. Maleko and I work together very, very well. And this board is to be commended for that encouragement as well. And yeah, it's hard to think about 24 years being on a board. So Joe and Roxanne. The other thing for me personally, they are 2 of the ones that were on the board when I was hired, so we appreciate very much that memory in my life. I've been here almost 4 years now, and so a lot of great things happening in the college because of great leadership on this board. Thank you so much, Roxanne, and thank you, Joe, for your leadership.
Thank you. Thank you. Vice President Massey?
Yes, I don't want to repeat what I've already said, although I will say both Roxanne and Trustee McDonald and Trustee Guido are going to be missed. But I just kind of wanted to say something. It was actually when I was running originally, I had actually had a conversation with Trustee Barry, and one thing he had indicated during that course of that conversation, we talked about where is the district and what is it that we add to the district. And the reality is the district's in good shape. It was in good shape, although I'd like to believe I made a whole lot of difference, it was always in good shape. But it was in good shape because of the trustees that were here before me, that put students first, that put teachers first, and that put the interest of the district above their own. And I think Trustee McDonald and Trustee Guido are a great representation of that. All the trustees that were here were a representation of that, and I sincerely appreciate what they do, because frankly, they've made our job easy. Because they tackled a lot of tough issues throughout the years, and they've done it well. So I wanted to say I appreciate their service. I appreciate the service of everyone else that was here earlier today as well.
Yeah, I'd like to say also that the greatest testament to all of the past trustees, present trustees, and particularly Trustee McDonald and Trustee Guido is the functioning, the really well function of this school district and the college. Annually, the budget that is overseen by this board and by so many employees is $250 million. There are more than 20,000 students that come to school every day. It's a minor miracle. There's 2,000 employees, and that's not even counting the college. Those students are brought from kindergarten to productive citizens. And a lot of citizens don't know what didn't happen, lawsuits that didn't happen, bad behaviors that were repaired. We're going to have one presentation tonight about how the schools work on that. But we're a really great district. We have so many positives, and it's because of our board members like Roxanne McDonald and Joe Guido. There were quite a few past trustees that were here and other people. One person who sent in a testimonial is past trustee Pam Adams, so I'd like to read her remarks if I may. Pam Adams writes, "I'm sorry I cannot be there tonight to celebrate the years of service Joe and Roxanne have given to the Dearborn School District and Henry Ford College. Because of physical limitations and the enormous snowfall we just received, maneuvering in a wheelchair on snowy and slippery walkways is just too risky for me. I was so looking forward to being there, not only to congratulate Joe and Roxanne, but also to see so many of you I haven't seen in a while. My thoughts are with you during this evening. Roxanne and I go back to our original PTA roots. Both of us became involved in our children's schools, then went on to Dearborn Council. The natural progression was to be interested in a school board position. I thank Roxanne for her years of service, and I'm sorry she's not continuing on the board. I hope she continues to be involved in some ways with the district. Good luck to you in your future endeavors, Roxanne. Joe and I have been good friends for over 20 years. As I always like to remind him, he defeated me on my first attempt to be on the school board. In retrospective, it was a good thing, as I did get elected the next term, and it was the beginning of a long and productive term for Joe. He's always been the calm voice of reason on the board. He looked at all angles of issues and made decisions that were student-focused and fair to all. He has been a strength on the board, and his involvement and history will be greatly missed. How many times has he said, "I'm not running again," only to do so? I wasn't sure how serious he was this time, but one knows when it's our time to turn over your seat to someone new. I wish the board good judgment in their decisions for the schools and Henry Ford College. I'm very happy to have served on the board and see some of our decisions still impacting students positively, and am proud of many of the decisions that were made. I was told early on that if I focused on what is best for the students, I wouldn't go wrong. Thank you, Joe and Roxanne, and my best to you both. So one other note, I would note that past trustee Daryl Donaldson is convalescing, and I'm sure cards would be welcome by his family. So if there is not anyone else, we can move ahead.
All right, we're still in item 5, recognition and acknowledgments. Because the school was closed, the district was closed, we will be postponing items B and C, and we're down to D, which is commendations, and Mr. David Mustaman will do the honors tonight.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am here with, besides, even though we had all the snow, I was able to make it in, so like all of you. So, commendations, just quickly, I did want to mention, commendations come into the communications office, and then we kind of sort through them and write them up and send them and bring them here to the board and read them here to the board. So we encourage our schools to continue to do that, to continue to send in their commendations to the communications office. Sometimes they get to be a little lengthy, so we try to shorten them up a little bit and as much as we can, but at the same time, we still want to give credit to the students and staff who are involved in the commendation that we're giving. The other point that we wanted to that I just wanted to bring out here too is that with only one board meeting a month, sometimes these commendations may go all the way back to the previous month, and even sometimes earlier, depending on when they're received. So something can happen in October. We may not find out about it till after the November board meeting, so that's why we'll be reading it here. So that's why sometimes there's a delay in these, and we just wanted to share that little bit of information. So with that said, we'll start off with district commendations to our 4 elementary school students who were selected from more than 260 entries to receive awards for their outstanding writing at the University of Michigan Dearborn Merdecian Library's 4th Annual Young Authors Festival. The winners were from Lindbergh Elementary, student Owen Strife, who received the 3rd grade 2nd prize for his writing titled Families. William Ford Elementary student Hussein Mansour, who received the 3rd grade 3rd prize for his writing titled Family Memories. Henry Ford Elementary student Nama Sharif, who won 4th grade 3rd prize for his writing My Life, My Everything. And finally, from Howard Elementary, student Ali Beydoun, who was awarded 5th grade 3rd prize for his writing titled Big Dreams. From Fortson High School, commendations to Fortson High School for hosting their first Parent Technology Night. Several dozen parents and students attended the event that featured educational sessions for parents focused on the use of technology. Just a few of the topics presented included creating web pages and blogs, use of smartphones and apps, and social media training. Special thanks to the staff in the technology department for their support, especially Bob Harrison and Amy Gwizd. Commendations to Fortson Interact Club co-presidents Mahdi Maza and Mohammed Awara, and service project organizer Ali Zabib, who were selected to represent the Fortson Interact Club at the 2016 Rotary Youth Leadership Awards at Schoolcraft College this fall. These 3 students are outstanding examples of student leadership. Etzel Ford, congratulations to Etzel Ford singers who participated in the Michigan School Vocal Music Association Musical Theater Solo and Ensemble Festival. Man, that's a mouthful. All right. The event held on November 12th at Grosse Pointe South High School hosted students from the eastern half of Michigan. Receiving 1 ratings were Ladari Avery, Jacob Gilman for their duet, and soloist Jacob Gilman, Elizabeth Dix, Nora Heaton, Garrick Herman, Bailey Holmes, Reagan Rankin, and Nathan Wall. Catherine Dix earned a 2 rating. Jamila Berman was awarded a certificate of participation, and a special thank you to the students accompanying us, Dr. John Budenberg. From Nowlin Elementary, commendations to the students at Nowlin Elementary on collecting 1,426 pounds of food for Gleaner's Food Bank. Under the direction of 3rd grade teacher Michael Hawkins, they collected 332 pounds more than last year's total. Dearborn High School, commendations to the students on the Dearborn High School varsity volleyball team who won an MHSAA district championship with their win over Crestwood at Etzel Ford on November 3rd. The team, led by senior captain Brianna Hansen and head coach Diane Phillips, also finished the regular season with a perfect 10-0 record in the Western Wayne County Athletic Blue Division to claim the league title. Commendations to Dearborn High School senior Raid Rabili on being named Mr. Cross Country by the Michigan Interscholastic Track Coaches Association, as well as being named MLive Detroit Runner of the Year for boys cross country. This year, he completed his trek to the top with the state championship, winning the Division I state title with a 5K time of 15 minutes, 24 seconds, and 8/10 of a second over tough course conditions. He will continue his cross-country career at Central Michigan University. Fire up Chips, my alma mater.
Thank you.
Next item is acknowledgement of donations.
So we have several donations that are being offered. One, which the first one I'm going to mention, everyone has a hat in front of them, the trustees. So there's a donation of 95 knitted hats has been offered to Dearborn schools by the ladies of Greater Detroit chapter of Hadassah to be given to the students. So yeah, I see Trustee, our Vice President Bazzi trying it on. Well, yeah, I'll be a good sport too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I had to trade though the pink for the blue. So.
I know. He wouldn't wear pink.
All right. So then we also have a donation of 13 Thanksgiving dinners has been offered to Stout Middle School by Dearborn Christian Fellowship to be used by the families of Stout students. Donation of 5 coats, 5 hats, and 7 gloves has been offered to Stout Middle School by Dearborn Christian Fellowship to be used by the students of Stout. Donation of 3 $1,000 Visa gift cards has been offered to Michael Berry Center by Square One Education Network to be used for materials needed for the Innovative Vehicle Design Program. A donation of $109.48 has been offered to Henry Ford Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for whiteboard easel stands. A donation of $95 has been offered to Henry Ford Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for Flocabulary. A donation of $900 has been offered to McDonald Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for educational backpacks. Donation of $280.89 has been offered to Long Elementary by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for operation organization. Donation of $1,990.97 has been offered to the Fordson High School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for making our music smarter. Donation of $500 has been offered to Laurie School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for Shrek Jr. A donation of $500 has been offered to William Ford Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for world music drumming equipment. Donation of $215 has been offered to Gear Park Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for Music Express magazine. Donation of $370 has been offered to the Early Learning Coalition by Miss Vicki Fricky to be used for books from the Scholastic Book Fair. A donation of a $1,000 gift card has been offered to Salina Elementary by Meyer to be used for school supplies for students. And a donation of an engine and a transaxle has been offered to Etzel Ford High School by Mr. Robert Cederland to be used in the Auto Shop Engine Lab for engine repair exercises. So we thank all of the donors for their donations to help our students. Thank you very much.
Next item is core values poster.
I'm going to have Mr. Mussinen come up for that one.
Good evening once again. So at the November Care to the Core event, we talked about a new core values poster for our district, one that reflected the updates to our core values that was actually put together by our strategic planning committee. And so again, the core values, a program that's been in our district since the mid-90s. It's a program about character education, and not that we are putting our values on our students, rather just the opposite. We went to our community, we said, what are the core values that are important to our community? And they told us. And we said, okay, these are the things that we will model in our district. These are the core values that we will reinforce throughout all of our schools. In 2003, those core values were updated. They were given a little bit more substance. And then, as I mentioned, back in the spring when the Strategic Plan Committee was meeting, they reviewed the district's core values and once again kind of updated and refreshed our core values. We had a little contest to see a poster contest, and overwhelmingly our community, our staff, decided to go with this design. So we have these posters have been printed up. We will be distributing them to our schools immediately if they want, but probably in January when we meet as general administrators, we'll hand them out to the schools. These will be in every classroom throughout the district, as well as throughout all of our other buildings in the Dearborn Public Schools. And if there are any businesses who would be interested in putting a core values poster in their business, we welcome them to come by the communications office, and we'll be more than happy to give them a core values poster as well. To go along with that, we've also created kind of a Care to the Core tally or tracking of events that are going on in our district that reflect our district, their actions, putting words into action as far as being part of our community. So I will give a shameless plug for the communications office blog site. And if you go to that blog site, you can see up there that there'll be there's a tab up there called Care to the Core Events. And if you click on that, you can see all of those charitable events that are going on in our district that you may want to take part in, people looking for donations for other items. Now, these are not for our schools. This is for our schools who are doing things for other organizations. So, for example, if a school is having, we mentioned like Nollan had a can drive, a food drive for Gleaners Food Bank. That would be an event that would be up on the blog that people could go in and see, and if they wanted to contribute, they could stop by the school and contribute. It will contain contact information and things like that. So we're just kind of following through on showing what's going on in the district as far as, like I said, putting some actions with the words that we have displayed.
I just want to say I love that idea because often I have people from the community come to me and say, how can I donate, or are there specific groups in the community that need help with things? So I think this is a wonderful way to meet or have people meet that want to give with organizations that need help and connect those people. But I also have to say, we also have lovely mugs with the Core to the Care
Absolutely.
new poster that I just noticed here. They're
yes,
wonderful.
That was the other part that I was going to mention to kind of reflect the poster. We were able to get some new mugs, kind of an abbreviated version on the mugs. The other mugs that you had lasted about 24 years, so we figured we could spring for some new ones. Update some new mugs for you guys, as long as you promise to get 24 years out of them. I think that was good value.
One more comment I do want to make. Often I still, to this day, will go into businesses. I went into my AAA office not too long ago, and they had the Upstander Man poster on the wall. And so I think it's just a wonderful way that our district connects with not only the schools, but businesses and the mosque and the churches and the fire department and the police, and how we all come together to support common causes. I think it's wonderful, and it makes Dearborn a great place to live.
Absolutely.
And that, if I could just mention too, we had a formal board request for information from Vice President Brazzi, so that's part of that with the donation site. So
no, I sincerely appreciate that. Thank you.
No, thanks for the idea. It was a great suggestion.
It was a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd just like to say how important this is, that this poster is put up in all the classrooms. How many classrooms are there?
Over 1,000 classrooms. So
Okay.
so there's actually, and then if you count hallways, offices, so we ordered, plenty of posters to cover all of our schools.
Well, values drive our behavior, and frequently we don't even understand our own values. It's something that is a self-understanding that is very important for all of us. And since values drive our behavior, it's very important for people to see, the students to see, that these are the kinds of values that the community really prizes and wants the students to learn these values. Values are resistant to change, very resistant to change. So getting them before them at an early age and having them consider these values, incorporating them into their lives, changes their behavior. And I think it's just really important to have these posters around and have people refer to them and have teachers refer to them.
Please.
And are we going to remember to have some supplied to, say, the Civic Center and the libraries where our students are at on a regular basis to
Great
help
idea.
reinforce? It might be
Sure.
that opportunity when students kind of forget their manners, that they see something familiar in those locations that will help remind them of what our expectations are, as well as the rest of the communities.
Great idea. We'll make sure they get over there.
One question that I've heard a lot over the years is, well, we didn't have to teach this before. It used to be that we didn't teach this, or schools didn't provide food, or people question, why do we have to do everything now? For example, food on the weekends. It used to be that a lot more students went hungry. A lot of families didn't teach core values. So we're doing that now, and it's more important now than ever. We have a standard of behavior in our community that nobody should be hungry, that people should be entitled to certain things, a basic education, I think healthcare also, and a few other values. But that's what we have decided is American civilization, and I think it's great, and I know that a lot of it wasn't done before, but it's part of who we are now, and it's very important that we remind ourselves of it. Trustee
It's
Bazey?
hard to learn if you're hungry,
Yeah.
if you're being bullied,
Yeah.
if you have all those additional stresses. And so
Yeah.
I think education is also developed. People are finally recognizing what students are going through, and I think that's what's great about this district, because we've taken it on wholeheartedly.
Ready?
Ready?
Okay.
I know we have some anxious people waiting to present. So.
Are there any other?
No other.
No other, okay.